The Beef and Barnzy Show, brought to you by Bowlersmart.com, trusted by bowlers around the world since 2004. By Lightning Strikes Bowl, home of Bowlers Mart Pro Shop. By Platinum Ford, drive the difference. By Fire Lake Bowling Center, 24 state-of-the-art lanes. By True Grit Coatings, drive on our passion. By Roll to Grip, king of them all. By 900 Global, striking worldwide.
What's up, people? It is Tuesday. We've had a bowling weekend. The Nationals, I guess, payouts are all out. This man over here won another regional. Number 10, was it, Frankie?
Number 10.
Number 10. So, like I say, Francois Lavoie, friend of the channel. What's been going on in your world, mate?
Just winning, man. That's it. Just winning. Things are going great.
Just winning. I feel like you come into your own once. It was quite similarly to me, just in slightly different events. But there's a common denominator. We start bowling well when we don't have to bowl against EJ and Simo.
Yeah.
It seems to be the common denominator, not having to deal with those two.
It's a lot easier when their names aren't on the roster. That's for sure.
So, all fun aside, Chris is bowling the PBA 50. It seems like they've got a major every week now. So this is now the PBA 50. What's it called? The Players Championships. And they're going to, I don't know if you've seen this, but the last few years they've had a tournament. Oh my God, Barnes is in the lead. So Barnes was outside the top 24 before the day started. Now he's in the lead. Let's go. But this guy hosts the finals in his basement.
Oh yeah.
So it's kind of an interesting one. But yeah, Chris has gone 240, 260, 260 to start the day. So that usually moves you up a couple of spots.
Where is this at? Who's this guy?
I think the guy is Bud Moore. It's in Sterling, Virginia. That's who it sponsors. That the tournament's literally called the Bud Moore PBA 50. But I know that this tournament, I say I know, but I'm pretty sure that this is the tournament where the guy has hosted the finals in the basement. So it's been kind of an interesting deal. I think he has 4 lanes.
Oh, so they've done this before. This isn't the first time.
No, this is not his first time. There's been several events on the probably the last 3 or 4 years, I think they've done it. But I guess Adam, friend of the show, says 277 game 4 for Barnes.
Very nice.
So he is going crazy. He also likes events where EJ and Simo aren't bowling.
Yeah, that's a quick way to get to 250 over, 240 over for 4.
So let's talk a little bit about this weekend. You came away with the victory up in Overland Park. What were you using and what were you bowling on?
We bowled on Dragon, 45 feet, and somebody said, people were saying, so originally we thought the lane surface was brand new. There were some rumblings out there that it was like 45 days old, just brand new lanes. Then it came out that it was at least a couple months old. It wasn't as new as we thought, but still they were pretty tight. Dragon 45 feet. Not the hardest pattern. It's usually pretty hittable if you're keeping your angles a little straighter, and the fact that there weren't too many people there that wanted to open up their angles necessarily, I think made it a little bit nicer. I basically used the summit for every game of the tournament, but one, if you add up, like I started the tournament with the reality, the first 2 frames, and I went flat 10, 2, 4, 8, 10, the first 2 frames, and then I switched to the summit essentially until the last game before the TV show.
And then you were just saving it.
I was what, sorry?
You were just saving it.
Yeah, exactly.
I talk to us a little bit about the summit. We haven't really had much feedback. It kind of came out just before Bowl Expo, and then everybody got excited for more new balls. So for me, it's a little stronger than a phase 2. Where do you see it?
Yeah, that's how I see it too. I think it a little stronger, a little smoother, a little earlier than the phase 2. All things that make sense if you look at the numbers, I guess. It's got this. I actually drilled my first one over in Korea. I was doing the Storm Fair in Japan, and then we went over to Korea and did some demos there too. And it felt like it was really early. And I guess their version of a house shot's a little different of the house shots that we have here. But the first couple shots I threw with it felt like it was really early, and then it lane shined a little bit, and it started striking quite a bit. We shot some videos, and I think they wanted like 10 strikes for the videos, and it took like 11 shots. It was pretty cool. It was pretty nice. They've got this new like AI core technology that Chad was talking about when we were doing the clinics over there and stuff. I don't look that much into the cores and stuff like that, but definitely different. It's definitely a shape that we don't have out of all the other balls that we have in the line.
Yeah, it almost looks when they compare it, almost looks like a golf ball, doesn't it?
Yeah, the core does. Yeah. If you were at Bull Expo, you probably saw they had a big one there. I think I saw some pictures. Yeah, it looks kind of like a golf ball. It's pretty interesting.
So James, who is one of the guys over there in Overland Park, says was impressive to watch Frankie lead for the most part wire to wire. Yeah, it's what he does. He just
James was the operating manager. He was in charge of he put the tournament together. He brought the PBA back to Kansas City. They hadn't been there in a long time, I think. So they did a great job. James was a great host, and I definitely had a great experience in Kansas City.
And of course, it's not that far for you to drive either. What is it, about 2 hours?
Yeah, just over like 2.5, just under 2.5.
This is an interesting question. He says, how close is the summit to the old Axiom?
I think it could be pretty close. It's a little tricky for me to say because my Axiom, I used it as like a trick ball. I had a 3-inch Axiom that I kind of used I wanted it to be really tumbly. I think that ball kind of does that on its own. I think it is pretty close to the old Axiom, maybe a little bit stronger.
Yeah. Like for me, I felt like that old Axiom was it was kind of a strange ball for me because I felt like if I shined it, it was a bit like the Idol. I felt like there was a big difference between when it was shining and when it was dull. I don't necessarily see as much difference with the Summit when I shine it as when it's dull. I think it's a bit more like, to me, the Gem is like the funniest ball. When I shine it, I feel like it's almost exactly the same shape, just a little further down the lane. It doesn't really change direction that much harder. And I feel like the Summit's like that. But out of the box, I think that the Summit's a little stronger than the Axiom, but it's the same kind of idea. Smoother control piece, shall we say?
Yeah, definitely
on the strong end. Our friend Chris Skillins from up at Lightning Strikes says, "Congrats, Frankie. He's one of our favorites." He won't be one of your favorites if he doesn't turn up to Snowman this year, right, Chris?
I appreciate that. Shawnee is one of my favorites also. It's funny because Josh messaged me, Josh Blanchard. I guess he's in charge of all the archives and stuff like that. And he thought I posted it was my 10th regional, and he thought that it was 9. So he messaged me asking for it. So I sent him a list of the regionals that I had won, and I realized that 4 of them were in Shawnee. So definitely a fan of Shawnee. It would be nice if I was able to bowl like that when the national tour goes there. Haven't had much success when EJ and Simo are there, but
again, they seem to be the common denominator.
Yeah,
I was
or Tommy and Bill. Yeah,
I was telling Chris that I was filling out the business survey that we have to do, because we're registered as companies or whatever. And it said, outside of COVID, has anything drastically influenced your bottom line or whatever? And I was tempted to write EJ Tackett.
Yeah. The top 3 bowlers on tour.
Yeah, them stealing all of the money. Billy says, "Congrats, thanks for selling me on the Summit. Will it work pin down as well as it does pin up?" Funny you should ask that, Billy. I actually did a video with that, and I haven't put it up yet, but I was looking at it yesterday. I felt like the Summit is one of the balls that's strong enough that you can use pin down. Maybe not for Frankie because of his track situation, shall we call it?
Yeah.
But yes, it's one of the few symmetrical balls that's actually strong enough that you can use pin down. So yeah. Yeah, I mean, maybe.
Yeah, I don't know.
I do find some of his stands a little hard to take when they're like, he's going to go past Belmo easily in majors. I'm like, I mean, he's got 5.
Yeah.
One person has 10. And then Belmo has 15. So he needs as many as one other person on Earth in the history of the game's got as many majors as he needs additionally to get to where Belmo's at. That's a lot.
Yeah, easily is a bit strong there, I think.
Like, he might.
Yeah. I just think the craziest thing about Simo, I think, is how many years he's had multiple titles and hasn't even sniffed Player of the Year because either Belmo or EJ just blew him out of the water that year.
Yeah, I mean, it is a little rough.
Yeah.
He's one of the first people I can remember winning 2 majors in the same year and not winning Player of the Year.
Yeah.
I haven't actually posted it yet, Billy. So when I do, I'll let you know. Sorry. But does he though? Because he finishes in the top 10 every week.
Yeah. He bowled a doubles tournament and still couldn't miss the top 10.
Adam is giving us live updates on Barnes. Triple, 9 spare triple, and I think he's got another. Oh, and he's got another 2. Adam's live updating us. So Barnes is shooting 270 again. Adam actually said, this is the best I've ever seen. Yeah. This is probably the best I've seen him bowl, especially firing on all cylinders. So there you go. Adam's all over it. He is Sleuth, the journalist. So quickly, let's just I have to bring this up. Nationals. So my man Nick Crummell won like 25 or 27,000 or whatever it was in checks, right? And his scores are possibly one of the most dominating things I've ever seen in my entire life. Did he sniff a super bracket 5K one? Nope.
Probably not.
Nope. He won $100, I think it was, in super brackets, which makes total sense, being as he shot 230 as his low game. Brent Bowers, on the other hand, Brent took one out. Now, Brent bowled pretty well, but what do you think, Frankie? Do you think there's a direct correlation between Brent working for the Reno events or whichever he works for? He works for the stadium, and then suddenly winning something.
Yeah, I don't know. I think we're going to need some investigating. Let's get him on the phone. Let's get him on the phone.
I was about to say, because let's just wind this back a bit. Brent's other biggest achievement is bowling 899 at the center he ran. We're starting to see a common denominator here, Brent. So that was the first thing that I had to bring, because we love Brent, and like, is there anybody who likes bowling more than Brent? Now, James, I don't need you to bring more information that support Brent case. Like, that's not what we're after. But anyway, so super brackets were fun. Nick Crummell did okay in the 2K ones, and but regardless of that, I was looking, and they actually gives you a breakdown of the amount of people who spent $9,000 in year-end brackets. Now, I'm a pretty decent bowler, and I do okay at nationals. I don't think it's ever entered my mind to play 3,000 an event in brackets. Now, maybe I'm just naive at this point, but anyway. So Packy did pretty well out of these, and you can go on and you can and you can check it out, like all of the breakdown is. But I was just fascinated to see if anybody did any good in any of the other divisions. So the standard division, there wasn't anything. But I got to classified. One guy entered every single bracket possible. Now, for me, I'm not for 1 minute saying that he did anything wrong. But has there ever been a more clear indication that you're in the wrong division in a handicap tournament where you're in the lowest division and you spend $9,000 in brackets? Like, has there ever been a more clear indication that you're probably in the wrong division?
Yeah, that's.
I mean, my man won $32,000.
That's a lot. It's a lot of confidence.
32,000.
That's a lot of confidence.
Yeah. 32,000. So he profited 23,000. He then also polished off all events for 4,500. So he was, and I imagine he got in classified brackets while he was there. So my man's probably just he might have won more money at nationals than I won on tour this year, and I was in the top 20.
Got himself a nice salary there in that weekend.
Well, he thought he was in the right division. Now, I've done a little bit of a real small bit of investigating, and I guess he hasn't bowled the tournament for a few years. I'm not 100% which year was his last year that he bowled, but they used the last 27 games in the tournament, going back as far as 2014, I think. So you could bowl nationals, have 3 years or 4 years off and get better, and then just bury them. And you could be like,
So
you could almost be ready.
So you think he just hasn't bowled league in a few years?
No, because the league averages don't count. Your nationals average
Steve?
trumps everything. And I don't think there's a 10-pin rule.
Yeah.
So I thought that was pretty funny. I don't know. He didn't take any money off me. I just thought it was pretty amusing that the guy in the I hear all these guys complain that it's an amateur tournament and we shouldn't be allowed to bowl, and then my man wins $30,000.
Yeah,
amateur.
Yeah, I did. This is funny. So I posted about the regional win, and I did see someone commented. I didn't respond on it. I thought about it, but someone commented, "These guys, like in quotes, these guys bowling in regionals is like taking candy from a baby." And I'm like, this is one of the last tournaments you should be complaining about me bowling in. This is a tournament put on by the professional association, and I'm a professional bowler. Like, I bowl for a living, and you're mad that I'm bowling a regional. Like, you get these people complaining all the time when we bowl sweepers or when we bowl like little amateur events, and like you've got more of an argument there than you do when I'm bowling a tournament put on by the organization for professional bowlers.
Yeah,
It just doesn't make any sense.
It's definitely. I mean, it's bowling. People like to moan.
Yeah,
it's just what we do.
Yeah.
Johnny says, Frankie coming back to Pergamon.
Oh yeah, it's been a while. Going back to Sweden for the first time in a while. Bowling the Lucky Larson. I'm excited about that.
So outside of the summit, which of the products have you been liking? I mean, the Pitch Black for you, OBS. You're a urethane guy now.
Yeah, Pitch Black is good. I started to learn how to use it just in time for it to go away. Nice.
I don't think that's true. You've been using it for quite a while, quite successfully.
Yeah. Yeah, the summit was actually good. I haven't actually used it much before that. I think it was just kind of too early for what we've been bowling on. But then at the tournament, they felt like they were pretty tight. So it was.
Richie giving you some strong advice. It's never hesitate to respond.
Yeah. I might go on after this and respond to him. No, which ones are the new balls? Well,
I mean, I have you had a chance to drill the Exponent yet? Because
I drilled the Exponent and the Lucy, and I was quite surprised by that one. I guess surprise isn't the right word. I didn't have too many expectations, but I think that one's going to be pretty useful. I kind of see it between a phase 2 and an IQ Tour, maybe.
Yeah, exactly how I see it. Like, it flares. Yeah. For me, the IQ Tour isn't that useful a lot of the time because it doesn't flare enough. Yeah. But I wanted something that had a cover similar to that, and it feels like that ball has a cover similar to the IQ Tour, like it'll skid, but because it flares more, I feel like it gives me more versatility to be able to use it, and it fits for what I like a little better. The other new balls, well, the Rotogrip balls, I'm sure you haven't got those because you never order anything.
I just wait for everybody else to throw them, and then I make my decisions. But I think I am going to order a Tour Dynamics. I think I'm interested in that one just to see. I might order two and just kind of try some layouts on it to see if I can get anything controllable enough to use on short patterns. The gold label I haven't ordered, and I don't know if I will. I might just try one just to try. I haven't been a big fan of the Zen. I know it looks good in everybody else's hands, but I haven't necessarily liked it.
You did have that one Zen that was good. You had one.
A Zen?
Yeah, you had one. I
might-
think it was around the time that when you won the TOC. I feel like you had one good Zen, and then every other Zen you've drilled has just gone too forward down the lane for you to be able to use it.
Yeah, too forward down the lane, or if I hit up on it a little bit, it checks early, and I feel like the gold label would probably be kind of the same thing. But yeah, the Tour Dynamics I'm interested in, and the Summit and the Exponent have been the two that I've used the most for sure of the new stuff.
Yeah, I think that you had quite a lot of success with the UFO alert as well. So I will give you a warning. Don't go in thinking the clone's going to be the straight replacement.
I have heard that, but I'm always cautious when I hear that anyway.
No, what I'm saying is it's not going to be the direct replacement is what I'm saying.
I know. Yeah, that's also what I'm saying. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. But I think it might be a ball that you find useful because the reality at times can get a little bit too strong, and I think it can be like a step down from that. So I've actually hit mine with a bit of surface now to mess around with it. So new shoes. I'm a fan of the new shoes though.
Yeah, you like them?
Racers.
I saw some posts about them.
I've found an extra benefit from them as well because I got the white ones. And Tina asked me, why on earth did you get white shoes? Your feet are massive. Why would you want to highlight that? And I explained to her that with the white shoes, my legs look positively tanned now.
Yeah.
So when I'm bowling my tournaments that I like, I've decided that I need live bowling because I perform way better in shorts than pants.
Yeah.
Or trousers. So
yeah. It did get pretty hot in the bowling center this weekend. It was well, you bowled in Edmond, and it was pretty hot in Edmond, and Overland Park was just as hot, if not hotter.
I've heard that there was some issues. Like I'll be honest, it being hot in the bowling center doesn't really worry me too much. I feel like it's a great equalizer because I'm fat and overweight. I always sweat. So now all you skinny guys sweat, and you're just not used to it. You don't have the skills.
Exactly. It's a versatility thing.
You just don't have 27 towels in your bag prepared for the fact you're going to sweat everywhere.
Yeah.
So yeah, that was. I mean, I don't think this is breaking news. Like I really don't think it's breaking news. Yeah. See, Ogle, he's the skinniest man alive, and he's used to it because he's outside.
Yeah.
You know, when he comes and does his side hustle on the PBA tour, like he's
comfortable in the air conditioning.
Yeah, exactly. So, what have you got coming up?
Let's see. I'm about to get pretty busy. Not necessarily bowling as much. I mean, I guess I'm bowling on the weekends, but I've got a lot of I've got more like appearances coming up. So there's a PBA Junior Regional at North Rock this Friday, so I'll do that. Then I'm doing it's trade show season basically. So doing Delora trade show in Detroit. Then I'm bowling New Mexico Open. Big fan of that tournament. And the week after that, I've got a thing with Next Level Bowling, Norm's thing. And I guess there's a bunch of us. I don't know how many pros are going, but a bunch of different pros going to that up in I guess southern New York State, like close to Pennsylvania.
Okay.
Got the Ironman back bowling that one after a year off last year, and then it's off to Europe bowling the Lucky Larson and doing some clinics with Sean Rash, Danielle McEwen, and Stephanie Zavala after that in England and in Germany.
Okay.
Yeah, so pretty busy.
So when you're thinking about going abroad, and this can apply to a lot of things, but are you going to take 6 balls to the Lucky Larson, or are you going to be able to get 9, or what's going to be the deal?
Yeah, I haven't decided. Sometimes the nice thing about the status we have with the airlines, we can usually take 3 bags. So I might take 9. It is kind of a pain traveling with 9, especially because I'll have to haul those balls for 2 more weeks across Europe. We'll see. I might take 9, but normally it's just easier to take 6. And actually, I don't really mind. It's a little bit different now than it was like a few years ago, but I don't really mind having 6. A lot of times it just makes it even simpler. Like you just know this is the ball I have to make work instead of just fishing for balls if you have too many. So I don't really mind it usually. But if we're talking about going to bowl in Europe, the arsenal might change now. I don't know. I might have to drill some balls before going to the Lucky Larson. There's been a certain trend in Europe recently.
Yeah, like the entire field using urethane.
Yeah.
So let's play the game, right? So you've got 6 balls. You use a pitch black for a spare ball.
I do.
So obviously you're going to take the pitch black. So now you got 5 left.
Yeah.
So let's just say the pattern they pick is 42 feet.
Yeah.
What you taking?
Yeah. I like to go by categories. The last thing I always say that when people ask about building an arsenal, like the last thing you want is to have 2 balls that are kind of too similar that do the same thing, because then you've effectively lost a spot in your bag. So I think of it as categories. So I'll go like strong ASIM solid as the first ball, 4 more pitch blacks. Yeah. Yeah. Strong ASIM solid would be the first one. So probably a reality.
Okay.
Then I'll go a cleaner ASIM solid. So in this case, I still have a dark code that I've got a couple more months that I can use it for. So I might use that. Otherwise, the infinite physics has been good, but the infinite physics can be a little early. I feel like the dark code's a little more angular.
So it's more angular ASIM rather than a solid, because obviously the dark code's pearl.
Right. Yeah. So I just think of it like a solid, a little bit earlier ASIM, and then I've got a cleaner ASIM. So I've got 2 ASIMs usually. One's cleaner, more angular, and then I'll move into the symmetric stuff. Usually, like a benchmark type ball, like a phase 2 is probably going to be in there. I like the IQ Tour, so like a low flare option would probably be in there, and then I'll have a quicker ball, like maybe a phase 4, or I'll have to check what kind of rules they're using in Sweden if I can or can't bring the phase 4. But I would think of like a cleaner, more angular, weaker, symmetric pearl.
But still a pretty strong ball.
Yeah, because a lot of those tournaments are just 6 games, so I don't necessarily think I need anything super weak. Like I wouldn't need whatever balls, I'm blanking now, but whatever balls you use late in the block. Yeah, Hustle's RIP, or say like a high road pearl that we use sometimes late in blocks.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I just think of it as categories like that.
Okay. Yeah, it's just interesting. Barnes does his like he doesn't look at it really as asymmetricals or symmetricals. He does the same thing but slightly differently. So he'll do like his number 1 ball is like say a reality, and then he'll do like heavy oil smooth, heavy oil angular, and then medium oil, like, so he has a that's how he gets to his 6. Yeah, I think it's feedback from Frankie's speakers, but yeah, it is kind of weird every now and again. It's weird that it doesn't do it every time. We got a super chat. Hey guys, best fit for me, 15 miles an hour, 250 to 300 RPMs, ASIM or sim balls for sport patterns. I don't know if you pay attention to the show, but this is where I say it depends.
Yeah, that's what I was gonna say, and I didn't know that you did that.
Yeah, because it really
it depends on which sport pattern. It depends on the volume. It depends on a lot of things. Yeah.
But Chris, if you're in that kind of range, I think that the reality seems to be very good. And don't take this the wrong way, but that your digits match up quite well with kind of the medium to higher rev lady players. And the reality is very popular for them. It seems to continue a little bit better than the gem does. I mean, I think phase 2 is always going to be a good option for most people to build an arsenal around. I think it's like it used to be the IQ Tour, but I think that the phase 2, with it being a little more flair, gives you a few more drilling options. So I think that's going to be your best 2 bets from what I've seen. But like I say, there you go. There needs to be a questionnaire to fill out before asking what balls to recommend.
Yeah.
I think it's nice to be able to give people a perspective on like our thought process of how we get to it, though.
Yeah.
Like you're talking about volume and length and all of those things, and like you can go to extra degrees, and it's fun because me and Frankie were actually talking about this on the phone the other day about how much less knowledge there is in bowling relative to, say, something like golf. Like they're talking about like building Rory McIlroy's driver, and he goes, well, I take a piece off this end as well as off this end because that balances the club. And then like the guy goes, ooh, I probably used a little bit too much epoxy glue in that, so we're going to have to, I mean, obviously I'm going to rebalance the club. And he's like, yeah, a little too much epoxy. We're going to have to change the balance point. See, now we're good. And it's just like, what? Like you put too much glue in the hole and that changed the balance of the club.
Yeah.
So, I mean,
and we're over here just guessing with our layouts and all that.
Yeah, exactly. It's just mind blowing, the difference. The classiest bowler on tour, and Frankie. See, you think you're being kind of funny at me there, Nick.
Yeah, I knew he wasn't talking about me.
Yeah, but I think the perception is that it should be you.
Yeah, exactly.
Rude. Hey, Frankie, good to see you. Stu, going from 14, carry a 4-ball bag, 3 different leagues, 3 different house shots. Infinite Physics is number 2. Want 1 stronger and 2 sims below gem for stronger. I seem to do well with solids. Okay, well, let's think this through. If you've got a line on the gem, take it. But if not, I prefer the reality in that gap. I think Frankie's kind of on board with me with that. We're more reality guys than gem guys.
Yeah, for sure. Especially
if you only got 4 balls as well. And then if you need something below the Infinite Physics, I would suggest, phase 2 might be a little too strong in that gap. So maybe this new exponent would be a good one to kind of gap a little bit, because I don't think that the Infinite Physics and the phase 2, like strength-wise, are like massively different. Like I would use them on somewhat the same conditions. So if you like solids, I would go for the exponent and then something weaker, like maybe the Hustle Rip. But I mean, you're left-handed. Joe's left-handed. He bowls in Detroit. So they would be my 2.
There's another thing I guess we didn't talk about when I was building the arsenal, and it's kind of the same thing here with a 4-ball bag. When I'm picking just 6, if I have a limited arsenal, not only do I want the balls to be different from each other, but each of those individual balls, I want them all to be pretty versatile. I want them to all be balls that I can use for a longer period of time. I don't really want a niche ball. And like you were talking about the gem versus the reality, that's kind of how I feel the gem is. The gem could be good for a small window of time, but I feel like the reality could be good for a longer period of time. So when I've got a limited arsenal, with whether it's a 4-ball arsenal or 6 balls, I always go with the balls that I feel like I can use for longer.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, obviously with with Joe being left-handed, he's not going to see as much transition as we are. So, like I say, I think Reality Joe is going to be the better option unless you're really sat on the jam. And then you got your Infinite Physics as kind of your favorite ball. And then off those two, I would want a decent gap off the.
I guess the exponent would maybe fit better there instead of the phase 2 off the physics.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, so we'll go exponent, and then we'll go. I really like the hustle rip at the minute. I say drier lane kind of ball. I think it's a really excellent option. Kelvin, good morning, gents. With the reality check being discontinued, is there a ball in the current lineup that would be similar? In short, not really. I felt like the reality check and the infinite physics were actually fairly similar, kind of where they fit. They were both a little cleaner, but they still came with a dull surface. I felt like they both, like them coming out together didn't really help them that much because I thought they were overall in the greater scale of things kind of similar. But yeah, for me, the reality check is, I mean, I guess you could probably get there with the clone, but I think if you put surface on the clone, it's going to be quite a bit stronger than the reality check. And then like the next ball down would be the absolute, but the absolute isn't going to dig in as early because the cover's so much cleaner. So right now, to answer your question, not really. But I would imagine that you've probably still got access to finding a few of those online if you were to have a little look around. You might even find some that are discounted. So thanks for the super chat. All right. How much does humidity usually affect your ball reaction?
That's a question for Barnes. I think he thinks about that stuff a lot more.
I think this kind of leads into what me and Frankie have been saying though about the knowledge within the game. I don't think that anybody really, there's no like empirical data that we get access to that would tell us the answer to that question. The thing that humidity does is it makes the approaches a little rough.
Yeah.
Most times when you think, if you're in the bowling center, it's super hot and you think that the approaches haven't been cleaned, it almost certainly is humidity.
Mm-hmm.
And also, like, that's another thing. If you talk to Barnes about how they've changed the soles, and he starts talking about like they're using synthetics now, they're not using like original buckskin or whatever, you know, could go on forever. Yeah. And this is why you stick more now than you used to. And I'm like, oh my God.
Yeah. It just feels like we have a lot of variables that we haven't really researched individually in bowling. Like we talk about the differences between bowling and other sports. Like it's really hard to isolate a variable in bowling. So if you go bowl a tournament and it doesn't go your way and you don't bowl really well, what was the issue? You don't always know because there's no way to recreate the same environment for you to test it again. Like you can't, the way the lanes transition from shot to shot, essentially, you can't really go back and try it again because it won't ever be exactly the same. So I feel like it's really hard to know in bowling for sure which variable was the cause of you not bowling well.
Yeah, I think that.
And we make a lot of educated guesses and we get close, but I feel like we never really know for sure. We never have like a complete answer.
Yeah, and I mean, I was watching a fitting video, and I don't mean to go on about golf too much, but I just want to give you an idea of what I've been kind of like in my mind. I've been trying to think about how we could get to this. Like, so I don't agree. Yeah, sorry, I don't agree with that one. So they were doing a guy for a putter, right? And they have a camera that's doing like 1 million frames a second, you know, so it can slow it down. And like they literally hit the ball and like they break it down to see how the ball comes off the face, whether it goes up or it goes straight, because you're trying to get like a forward roll on it or whatever. And they were, and it was just amazing that they're breaking it down into like, 150 frames a second or whatever, like to try and figure out whether he needs more or less loft on a putter and all of those things. And I'm like, when you go into a pro shop and you get like a cut on your finger, like there's a debate as to how they can fix that. And like, oh, we could do this, or we could do this, or we could do that. And it's just like, it's just amazing, like how much more information they have. And like, and like a guy was like, he liked one driver, but like when he was hitting it, the ball had the wrong spin rate. So it was going like, it was whatever, the flight path wasn't right. And the guy's like, well, there's two options. We can fix this with the ball, like change golf ball, or I can do this, this, and this. I think we should do this first and then maybe change the golf ball. And it's just like, oh my God. Yeah. Like they're just so much more dialed for that. And even like, even like us being at the highest level, like even when we're going on the truck and we've got like an issue, like, hey, we can't get the 10 pin out. There isn't like a, oh yeah, well, we'll just do this and this will make that.
Yeah.
Like it just,
yeah. How many times does that happen? And then you're standing on the truck like this, looking at the balls, and you're just thinking, and essentially you're just going to make a guess.
Yeah. And it's just like when you compare that to like, say, like I say, the golf, and they're like literally talking about Rory McIlroy's driver, and he's talking about like how it's different if he has like because they can change the lofts with like the sleeves or whatever. And he's like, Rory likes a loft, a 7.5 degree driver that's like, we use the collar to make it an 8.5. He doesn't like using the 8.5 without the collar or whatever. And it's just like,
yeah,
what? Like, and it's just, yeah, it's just amazing, like how much technology they've got. And even breaking it down to like, when they're doing the game and stuff, and like they're like analyzing the way they're doing everything, and that like the guys just see it so much faster. I mean, when you talk to Mark Baker, like he's really good with those things, but he's still like trying different things to achieve the same thing. Whereas like with the golf, you just watch them and it's just the way they break it down is just, it's wild. And I'm sure it's got to do with how much more money is in golf in comparison to bowling or whatever. Yeah. I'm sure that there's a way in which we could get to that point. But yeah. Hey, Graham, thanks for the tip. If you've got a question, let us know. All right, James. He says, hey, Stu and Frankie, I've got the following in my arsenal: a DNA, an eternity, infinite physics, exponent, fate, hustle, USA. How is the gap shaped between them? Am I missing anything? Over to you, Frank.
Yeah, I'm looking. I mean, I would say it's a bit heavy on the ASINs, just for how I look at things. That's what I would say. And then probably, it's always hard to know without knowing the bowler, is it? But yeah, I would put in maybe a cleaner, more angular ball, because I still don't think the Fate is super angular.
Yeah, I just think there's a bit of a big gap between the Fate and the Hustle USA.
Yeah.
That would be my only thing. The DNA and Eternity aren't balls that I would necessarily pick if I was choosing, but as you've got them, I don't think that they're like, I don't think they're putting you in a position that's like, oh no, that doesn't cover the gap. It's just not the balls that I would cover the same gap with. Yeah. So yeah. Yeah, I think your main gap is really between the Fate and the Hustle USA.
Yeah, because they're really not two balls I would use in the same way either. Like I wouldn't ball down from a Fate to a Hustle USA. The Hustle USA would be one that I would use more on fresh, on like a medium pattern maybe.
Yeah.
So when you think about that, then I guess the Fate is your cleanest, weakest ball. And if that's all right for your style, it might be, but chances are you might need something a little bit weaker and more angular than that.
Yeah, I mean, you could look at something like a hyped one of the hyped hybrid or something in there. You could look at the Burner Pearl if that was still around. You could do maybe a Revenant. That might be a little close to the Fate.
Mm-hmm.
High Road Pearl. Couple of those balls. Here's an interesting question for you, Frank. Putting you on the spot. Francois, please give your viewpoint on the IBF, future events, and your position with the IBF.
Yeah, that is a good question. As far as the last part of that question, I'm the chairperson for the athletes committee for IBF. So technically, I guess I sit on the board and I have a vote on the board. I've got my own opinions that usually reflect the opinions of all the athletes that bowl in these tournaments. And right now, there's certainly a lot of displeasure with the way that IBF has been run the last couple of years.
Yeah.
It is a shame. So the way that I see it, and I guess because I represent the athletes, right? The way that I see it, I got involved in this because I like to bowl for Team Canada and I like to bowl internationally. And as an athlete, we only have a certain period of time where we can compete at that level. Granted, in bowling, that period of time is longer than in other sports. Like our careers can be much, much longer. But still, we only have a certain period of time. And now it feels like for a couple of years now, it's been subpar to say the least. And so it does feel like for some people, it's kind of wasted years and wasted time of their competitive careers because of what's gone on in the past couple of years. So it is a shame to see that. We're working to try to make things better. There's definitely some things that we're trying to improve. But yeah, I mean, it's not easy. I've been in that position for just less than a year now, and I guess one thing that I found out is that it's really hard to get it's really hard to get a group of diverse people to agree on the same thing, especially when it's like almost split in the middle, almost like in U.S. politics, right? It's really hard to get both sides to see the same picture. And I guess it's very similar in other organizations as well.
Yeah, I think that we have a big split over what people think is the right thing. And I think that we've spent a lot of time trying to change the sport and what we do to try and encourage the Olympic movement. And I'm not to say that they were wrong. I just think that I don't necessarily see other sports focusing so much on changing actually how the sport is played to the detriment to end up getting, the end goal. Like, I think that finding, like, because just in recent times we've had completely different scoring, so that half the players who are in the event don't really understand what's going on. We've had string pins so that, like, it's easier to set up. We've had everything being Baker in groups. We've had qualifying and then, like, the top 16 playing a 2-game match, but not even switching lanes. Like, there's been so many things that they've done to try and make it more accessible to new viewers, but not really giving a shit about their current viewers, for want of a better description. So you have a group of people who feel like they're doing the right thing, and I'm not saying they're not. I'm just saying from my perspective, it doesn't seem like that's been the main issue. And then you've got a group of people who just want to compete to see who's the best bowler in the world. And those two things don't necessarily align. Like, what's best for a sporting perspective might not be, or isn't being treated as the best option for bowling getting in the Olympics.
Yeah.
But we spent all this time worrying about bowling getting in the Olympics. But if we could find a way to just make bowling more popular, rather than worrying about it being, like, popular in exactly the right way, then it wouldn't be an issue.
Yeah. Yeah, I think I guess I have to be careful a little bit with what I say, but there is something if you're interested in stuff like that. I believe it's bull.com/IBF. There's a working group of people that I'm a part of that's putting forward legislation at the next general meeting that we're hoping to basically incorporate to the articles of IBF so that IBF functions a little bit better than it has. There's definitely been some major issues in that sense, and so if you're interested in that, you can find that list of proposals online. And yeah, we have a meeting coming up at the start of the World Championships in Kuwait this year. So hopefully that legislation can pass, and then we've got a slate of candidates that we're putting forward for elections and stuff like that. So we're just trying to change, and I guess change it, not even change. We're just trying to improve the way that IBF runs, regardless of who's in charge or who's not in charge, so that it's more there's more good governance in there, and so that the same mistakes that happened in the last couple of years don't happen again.
Yeah, I mean, like I say, good luck. Hopefully it all works out. I probably won't participate in another one of those events just because of the position I'm in my life and the way we don't really have funding for it in England. So, but that's not to say I don't want it to be successful, and I don't want, I just feel like over the years, we've used a lot of funding trying to pursue this Olympic thing while just kind of ignoring the sport itself. So
yeah, and I guess that's one of the things that we mentioned in our package is the things that we want. It'll still be in accordance with all the Olympic principles and all that stuff, but that won't be the main goal. The main goal right now is to just clean up IBF, just to make sure that the organization runs properly on its own. That's not to say that we don't want to be in the Olympics, but the main goal now is really to just clean up our own act before.
Because it seems like in the last few years we've got further and further away from it than we've ever been. So
right.
It's a little sad. Let's move on to something more interesting. Balls. Luis, hey Stu and Frankie, just wondering if I need something different in my bag. I've got an X1, an IQ Tour, High Road Max, Purple Hammer Reactive, and Venom Shock. Are you really attached to that High Road Max? Because that would be the first one to go. It's not. I feel like you've got a lot of really smooth balls.
Yeah.
Like really smooth. Like almost you've taken like the smooth, like I guess the most angular ball you've got is the Purple Hammer Reactive. Or maybe the X1. And you've got the X1 as maybe your most angular ball, and it's your strongest ball. So yeah, maybe take the High Road Max out and put in something like a Zen Gold label, or a stronger angular ball. Absolute might be an option. Like, yeah, that's the direction I would go with that, because you've definitely got the smooth control. Taken care of.
Yep, agreed.
Seems like Chris is struggling this game. Our Barnes caught a tough pair.
That's always interesting. Like, how tough we talking? Is this going to be a 190 because he's been bowling? Game 6. All right. Well,
so he went 240, 260, 260, 270, 270, 170.
Are they bowling 6-game blocks?
Okay. Graham, let me have a look. Right. Yeah, I got you. Thank you. No, they're bowling 8 games, mate. 8 games. Yeah. Seniors bowl 8 games.
Yeah.
Real men. When men were men.
Yeah, shows how much I keep up with it.
Well, it's like our tour. They change every week. DNA, Exponent, Zenu, Duo, Gold Label, Hustle, Rip. Feels like something is missing 46-foot flat sports shot on my league. Rip out TNT in. Okay, well, if you're bowling on 46 feet, I'm not sure the TNT is the answer either. If you're bowling on something that long, I think you probably need a stronger ball that's a bit more kick down the lane. The TNT for me, if you're going to use it, is more of a fresh medium type of pattern ball because it's like super early but really controllable. I don't really think that's what you want on 46 feet.
No.
If we were to organize this into the order, I think you would go DNA, Duo, Exponent, Goal Label, Zenu, Hustle, Rip. So I think that you've got a pretty big gap between the DNA and the Duo. So the obvious one for us right there would be a Summit or a Phase 2 to go in between those two.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, depending on the rev rate, I was thinking Summit, the Phase 2. I think even for me, the Phase 2 might feel a little weak to where I'd want to hit it with some surface.
Yeah, I wasn't necessarily talking about the pattern. I was talking more about the gap. But yes,
yeah.
Like if you were just to fill in the gap, I mean, unless you're very on the extreme case, I would think that you would look at I mean, I know I'm going to say it again, but a reality. I think that'd be a bit stronger than the DNA. I think that would be your best bet. But like for your arsenal going forward, DNA to Duo is a pretty big gap. So I would think that you would fill that gap. And like we're saying, the Summit would fit it, probably be more alongside the DNA rather than below it. But it would be a different shape. So Michael Snow says, see you in January in Hamilton. He better not. He'd better see me in Shawnee in January.
Yeah.
You're going to break my heart again, Frank.
Yeah, we'll see. We'll see.
That's a yes.
I like to keep everybody in limbo right until the very end.
Think there would be any overlap with the Fate and the Gold Label current league bag. Reality Phase 2 Fate IQ 30 may replace with a Ruby.
I think the Ruby is probably quite a bit stronger than the IQ 30, isn't it?
Yeah.
I didn't throw the 30 very much.
Yeah, I mean, the Ruby to me is almost overlap with the Fate. I think the Ruby's really strong.
Mm-hmm. The cover on it's much stronger than than the other IQ balls.
It just definitely seems that way, whether it's the red or whatever. But that ball's weird to me because like sometimes I use it and I'm like, man, this thing is awesome. And then I go to another center and I can't get it to go through the pins to save my life.
Yeah. So that would be a ball that I wouldn't use in a 6-ball arsenal, like we said earlier. Yeah. It's really conditional, it feels like.
I'm glad I'm not the only one who feels that way.
Yeah.
Ken says, congrats, Frankie, winning at Overland Park.
Thank you.
Simo says, see you in Maine.
That's right.
Sure.
Simo made it out of the LBC, didn't he?
Yes. I
believe
so.
Yeah.
Should I get a gem with a reality and a gold label? No, Adam, I don't think so. I think a reality is enough. I mean, if you find that your reality isn't strong enough, then maybe the gem might be an option. But yeah. There you go, Don. He says his son is bowling the PBA Junior, Frankie. We'll see you this weekend. You know that Frankie's just making appearances. He's not bowling. I understand that he's about the same size as some of the participants. But.
Yeah, I've been trying to put on weight to separate myself from the youth bowlers.
All right. Well, we've managed to get through an hour, Frank. So thanks for joining us.
Yeah.
Good luck.
That wasn't too painful. That wasn't as bad as the dentist.
Oh God, here we go. Well, thanks anyway. Thanks for joining us. Thanks for keeping me occupied for an hour.
What do you have going on?
I don't actually have anything this weekend. I'm frantically trying to come up with things because I'm either going to have to do my taxes or I'm going to have honeydew lists. And so I'm frantically trying to find something to bowl so I can get out of doing that. But I think it's going to be a losing battle. And then the weekend after, I am bowling a SASPA 4-person and the kickoff, the team bracket tournament, for want of a better description. And then weekend after, we're doing with you, Iron Man.
The Iron Man, yeah.
I'm a little devastated. We've moved out of Rowlett because that was one of the few places where I wasn't as worried about Simo.
Where is it at this time?
City View. It's in Fort Worth.
Oh yeah, I bowled there in college, I think.
So doing that, and then I've got Longview doubles.
Yeah.
And on top of that, I'm gonna probably bowl Labor Day. Is that Labor Day, September? I never.
I don't know the holidays. I'm not good.
I think Labor Day, September. So, yeah, I'll probably. Cody Myers says, Stu, trio double singles would love it this weekend. There you go. No taxes or honeydews. Oh, shit.
Shout out Cody, made the drive to Overland Park last weekend. That was I think he maybe was regretting his choice a little bit. He said it was, I think, like a 10.5-hour drive, he said.
Yeah.
Longer than I drive for a regional. But Cody loves it.
CB, you are aware that I'm in Texas, right? just a shout out, like battle balls more than a minute away.
Yeah. Yeah. I can imagine.
Oh dear. So yeah, and then like there's a few events in September. Then we got the PBA League. Excited for that. That's always fun. There's a tournament. My schedule opened up a little bit, so I may be going up to Utah to bowl a tournament up there, and then it's an event in Phoenix that I might end up going to. A bunch of stuff in Texas. No doubt a regional in Timbuktu. Just middle of nowhere.
Yeah.
I tell you where I won't be going. Fort Sill.
Yeah.
I'm still staying strong.
Yeah, I'm busy for that one as well.
Washing your hair.
Yeah, I can't remember what I've got going on, but there is something. What are the dates for Fort Sill? I don't know. I'm busy.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Oh shit, Cody quitters. Well, we can't bowl the RPI, so I mean, Frankie tried his best to be able to bowl, but he still can't bowl.
Yeah.
So
sure.
I tried pretty hard to cook the last couple of years, and I didn't get there either. So
yeah.
Yeah. All right. Well, thanks again, Frank. Thanks for everybody watching, and this is Chris's bit, but. If you enjoyed this, support the sponsors who support us, or just watch one of our videos. Just keep watching our videos and hitting the like button on YouTube. But anyway, thanks to Storm, Rotogrip, 900 Global, Vice Turbo. I guess 3G shoes are in there as well now. And then we've got Bowlers Mart, Lightning Strikes, Fire Lake Bowling Center, and Platinum Ford. I will see you next week, Platinum Ford. But with that, take care. Have a nice day. And I'll see you on Thursday. I don't know who I'm going to have. Doesn't look like it's Barnes because he's remembered how to bowl. So I will see you next time. Take care.